Panther tanks and Tiger tanks were fearsome weapons, but first they had to arrive to the battlefield. A full-strength Panzer division transported by railway needed approximately 80 trains, each train with up to 55 wagons, with an average of 2 vehicles per wagon. The Omer wagons were the most common German flatbed cars during World War II. They could carry any kind of military vehicle. In most cases, they transported 2 trucks, tanks, or self-propelled guns. The railway transportation of the Panther tank started in the summer of 1943 and was similar to the procedure of any other German tank. Only one aspect was different. Although officially a medium tank, the Panther tank's weight was 45 tons, so one German wagon could carry only one single Panther tank right in the middle of the flatbed car. The Tiger tank's railway transportation was a much more complicated story. Because of the weight, the Tigers were also transported individually on the flatbed cars. But there was another problem as well. The Tiger tank was 3,547 mm wide, and the maximum permitted width of objects that could be transported by rail across Europe was only 3,150 mm. So the Tiger tank was simply too wide for the tunnels and the bridges in the continent. The German solution was to provide a second set of tracks for the Tigers. For rail transport, the operational tracks were removed, as were the 8 outermost road wheels on each side, and a transportation track just 520 mm wide were fitted. This reduced the tank's width just narrow enough to fit on the railway wagons. The tank's operational tracks and wheels were transported on the same wagon with the vehicle itself. At the destination, the whole process was reversed. The transport tracks were packed back onto the wagons after use and remained there. It means that the tank crew didn't have to drive around with the second set of tracks. When the Tiger II tanks appeared in the summer of 1944, the whole railway transportation procedure became even more complicated. They used the same system, except the Tiger II tracks were 800 mm and 660 mm wide, so not compatible with the older Tiger I tracks. So from the middle of 1944, when a German heavy tank battalion requested wagons for railway transportation, they had to specify whether they needed Tiger I or Tiger II tracks. In my previous video, I introduced you the organization of a German heavy panzer company. It could happen that there were both Tiger I and Tiger II tanks in the same heavy battalion, and, in some extreme cases, in the same company of the heavy battalion. So, from late 1944, for extra clarity, Tiger I transport tracks were painted green and Tiger II tracks were painted red. It means that in the last month of the war, the German units had simply to request green tracks or red tracks depending on the tanks of their unit.